Hello everyone, my name is Loco and welcome to another game of StarCraft II Heart of the Swarm. Today I'm going to be analyzing a game that I played a couple of days ago. And that's going to be a Zerg vs Zerg played on merry-go-round. Now, in this Zerg vs Zerg, my opponent is going for the oh-so-famous, well, Zergling strategy into Zerglings and then into more Zerglings, and I believe at the very end he makes a couple of roaches, but mostly he goes for a Zergling all in after a Zergling all in after a Zergling all in, and you know, basically go from there. Now I know what you're thinking. Today we're gonna be discussing Zerg vs Zerg and how you counter Zerglings, and I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, well, Loco, haven't you heard of Banelings? Like, Banelings are really good against Zerglings. Well, at some point, alright, I can predict your ladder future right now. At some point, you will be ranking up on the ladder, and you will be playing against this guy that is gonna micro really, really well. And he's not actually gonna run Zerglings into Banelings. Well, if he does, he's gonna run like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 at most. But your Banelings will just get picked off, and then all of a sudden Zerglings are in your mineral line and you lose. So, you know, even though Banelings on their own, or Zerglings rather, are really easy to counter on their own with Banelings and maybe some Zergling Bane yourself, it really doesn't work that simple anymore once your opponent starts being pretty good at microing, because he will simply be able to pick them off with a Zergling or two, and it's gonna be very difficult to go from there. So I decided to go for an all-in, or for a spawning pool right here, or for a hatchery right here. As you can see, my opponent already is about to finish his spawning pool. He's also getting gas up, and he's gonna start his Zergling production right now. So you can see my opponent goes for an all-in right now, and he's gonna make as many Zerglings as possible, run them towards my base, and he's gonna try and kill all of my drones, at which point I practically lose. So I start my spawning pool right when his first Zerglings come out, alright? This is pretty much the latest you can find, and it's a problem, So I'm gonna need a little bit of luck, but honestly, recently I've not really been dying that much anymore against earlier pools, just by trying to surround with your drones and microing a little bit more decently. So that's hopefully what I'm gonna be able to showcase you right here as well. Now, as you can imagine, it is absolutely impossible for me to have any kind of Banelings out right now with a standard build order. So whenever you get cheese with like a lot of Zerglings, and as you can see, metabolic boost on the way as well with all-ins, with speedlings and whatnot, you need to try and micro as best as possible. And I know it is difficult, there's no easy way of doing it though. So here we go. I'm just trying to get us around on these units. He's gonna try and micro a little bit away from it. I'm just trying to be as cheeky as possible, actually using the mineral walk technique, and I do get us around on all of these Zerglings. Now that is the one moment that I needed, alright? That is the biggest moment that you can use to defend. If my opponent would have microed it perfectly, with me going hatchery first, followed up by such a late hatchery, it is pretty much, or as such a late spawning pool, it should have been a loss for me right away, alright? It would have been a loss for me, actually, if he wouldn't have, like, mis-microed right there for 1 second. So, that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, that is the one thing you sometimes can do, and most of the time will be able to do, because your opponent won't be microing perfect, because you probably aren't playing, like, the Code S top of the line. So right now I know for a fact I have a bigger economy. It's currently 15 versus 11 harvesters, and that may not sound like a lot, but it is a significant amount right now. So I'm getting double queens up, and I'm gonna walk those towards the natural. Now the one reason why I'm not really going for Banelings right now is simply because, well, one, my opponent is probably microing really well, in which case my Zerglings really, or my Banelings really won't be that effective, but two, I don't want to waste my time getting gas up and then, you know, getting all of the time needed to actually get the units out. So I'm trying to make sure right now that my opponent does not get Zerglings in my main base. I'm microing my ass off to make sure that this ramp is guarded at all times, either by queens or by Zerglings blocking the path, and I'm also getting one spine crawl up right now next to my gas geyser, reducing the amount of surface area the gas has. I already replaced one of the queens, expecting one to die, but I'm gonna use the new queen that is out to inject the main base, and I'm gonna use it defensively as well, pulling it right now down to the natural. And all the while this is going on, I know I have an economy advantage. So what I decide to do is push that advantage some more and get a couple more drones going. So right now on the minimap you can see my opponent did take a hatchery, so I am aware of that as well at this time. But you know, right now is when I finally start taking double gases. Now the double gas timing right here that I chose to do would be the standard timing that a 5-minute double gas would go down. However, obviously it's a little bit delayed, and the reason why you can know that is simply by taking a look at the supply count that you're at, and it's 36 supply, which is 5 minutes. But here we go, my opponent once again moving in. I'm trying to land the transfer transfuses on the spine crawlers as well as on the queens, and once again the Zergling all-in is stopped just by having my units in proper position and microing a little tiny bit with the transfuse mostly. Now that spine crawler helped out a lot as well, but all the while this is going on, we still have that economy advantage, and that is the most important thing to realize. So I'm playing extremely defensive, and my opponent, well, as you can see on the production tab, just messing up more and more Zerglings. So we held, I think it was like the first, second, and the third wave of Zerglings right now, mostly the first and second. And I just sort of want him to move more and more towards the amount of Zerglings that he has. So I made a ton of slow Zerglings for defense, and I decided, well, why not just run them across the map, just to force more units out of him. He is very, very unlikely to actually make any more banelings right now. So this is a bit of a cheeky move by me, but it's just because that I know that later on in the game, my Zerglings are gonna be pointless, and as long as I manage to delay his drones is going to benefit me in the long run. So right now it's 27 versus 14, and I'm gonna start producing a couple of Zerglings again because I lost a bit too many. However, I am transitioning into a Roach Warren, I am transitioning into a lair, so I'm just trying my very best to stop this push that is gonna be happening from him very soon. So the key to keep in mind right now is that by delaying the gas, you allow yourself to get units out that are easy to micro and that are very good at defending. So right now I should be transfusing, there we go, double transfuse going down. But by delaying the gas, I'm allowed to get more queens, I'm allowed to get a spine crawler, and I'm so simply allowed to make a lot of Zerglings. So instead of going for the banelings, which might be the unit that your very first gut instinct will tell you to make, just simply try and delay the gas, guys, until you're about at 36 supply, and then finally start transitioning. And instead you spend the extra minerals you get on a spine crawler and a extra queen, or maybe 2 extra queens, or maybe 6 extra queens, I don't care, but they're really good at defending, and as long as you hit the transfuses, especially on the spine crawlers, you should have a pretty good time. Now here we go, I am just transitioning into a standard timing attack. So if you take a look right now at the upgrades that I'm having right here, got the +1 attack going up right here, and I also have the +1 Goliath Reconstitution, which is roach speed going up, and I'm just waiting for these upgrades to finish, at which point I should, knowing that I had the bigger economy for most of the game, I should be able to just simply overrun him. So right now I'm just messing up units. I'm just waiting for the units to pop and for my upgrades to finish up, at which point I will start moving across the map. So just saving up, just getting more and more units, and without making any banelings this game, I will be able to just simply overrun him. Now, keep in mind that my opponent mismicroed with this very first batch of Zerglings, like the first 8 or so Zerglings got caught by my drones, but that's a little bit of luck that you need if you decide to open up hatchery first. And it's just, you know, it's just something that needs to happen in order for you to be, you know, in order for you to win against someone that goes for an all-in. You need a little bit of luck and some decent micro. So there we go. Goliath Reconstitution finished up. +1 missile attack finished up as well. I'm getting another gas geyser, but for the most part, I'm just moving out right now. Once again, preparing my queens on the ramp in case he decides to go for like a runaround and he decides to get into my natural. Just making sure that I am safe at all times. So right now he's getting spine crawlers up. He's making his own roaches as well, as I thought I remembered correctly. But as you can see, the severe amount of economy that I had during the entirety of this game will just allow me to simply outproduce him right now. So even though he is trying to hold on, +1 attack as well as the movement speed upgrade are extremely useful. Target firing down a little bit, trying to set up a decent concave, and that will win me the game. So if this game helped you out at least a little bit, make sure you hit that like button. If you really enjoyed it, also make sure to hit the subscribe button, because you will be the very first one to get a notification when I upload another video. I want to thank you guys all for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, and I will see you again in the next video.